MMA Rants and Raves, The Ultimate Fighter Season 11, Episode 6, Nick Ring versus Court McGee. Let's talk about this fight for a minute, guys. Fight starts standing up, two guys posturing, and then McGee gets a quick takedown, covers up for a while, and then Ring gets back to his feet. There was a lot of leg kicks, and it seemed to be that he was throwing the kicks, and every time that he threw a kick, it seemed McGee was countering, but he was covering up. It seemed that Ring was reading him. He was reading him well. He has good instincts as a fighter. This Ring is a good fighter, and that's why he's kind of predicted to win the whole thing. He was the first pick. It seems like he, like I said, good instincts. And it's just the way it seemed. For the rest of the round, it was switching leg kicks for punches and covering up. Ring was continuing what he was doing. A lot of leg kicks, also countering, trying to throw some strikes, not many of them landing. And then McGee goes for another takedown. But it was stuffed. It backfired. And he did a sprawl, which is a very good sign of a fighter that knows about good takedown defense. When a guy sprawls, it means he knows how to defend against takedowns. And then he had him in a headlock, so it backfired. Looked like he was going for some kind of submission. And they started to continue to grapple, and then it was Ring on top. And he was basically, he was doing very well. He was doing some ground and pound. And basically the fight was very close. Went to a decision to the judges. I was very surprised that they awarded Nick Ring the fight. Not that he won, but more that they didn't go for a third round. And here's a couple of rants I have, guys, and maybe you can answer this question that I have. Why in the heck don't they have a third round? I mean, this is a long show, and there's only one fight. You can't determine in two tiny rounds, it's just 10 minutes, who's going to win a fight. Especially with the style that this guy Nick Ring has. I want to talk about that too. This guy's a Forrest Griffin type of fighter. He strikes and throws leg kicks, but it takes time to beat an opponent like that. Leg kicks to the legs, it's devastating, but it takes time before your opponent wobbles and gets weaker, and then you can set up a submission because you can get the guy down easier because you hurt his balance, and you can throw better striking to the guy because his rhythm is hurt and his movement is not as good. But this takes time. It's methodical, and it wears an opponent down over time, but you need more time. You need at least 3 rounds. And a third round would have definitely determined this fight. It really has. If you look at all the other fights that happened in this show and all the other seasons that they had, and the fights in general, you got to have at least 3 rounds. So that's one thing. And of course, the other thing is I didn't agree with the judges at all. It was a very close fight. It seemed that McGee was stronger in the second round and actually ended that round punching and being the aggressor on Nick Ring. Nick Ring also got him down in the fight and did some ground and pound, but you have to really look at that decision as not being fair. They should have made another round. It was an exciting fight to watch. It's another reason why it wasn't like the last fight. So it would have been interesting to see another round. And you look at the last fight, that fight was a sloppy fight, and it wasn't as exciting as this one. So it just didn't make any sense. I don't know what these judges were thinking, but that's the way it ended up. Here's something else I wanted to bring up. In combat sports, you're the team. It's not like the NFL. It's not like basketball, the NBA, and all the other sports. You have a bunch of guys that are fighting for their team. They're playing for their team to win, and you have other guys to back you up. Here, it's ironic. You have fighters, which are usually just one guy. They're the team. They're the sport. They're everything. There's nobody together with you to back you up if you're injured or whatever it is. Here, you actually do. You're actually fighting with a team. There's 2 teams against each other. And what's interesting is it's like a whole bunch of injuries are affecting one team more than the other. You ever read the papers, you ever see that in the NFL there's like an injury report this week. Who's out? It's always the same type of injuries: hamstring, groin pull, sprain, high ankle sprain, low ankle sprain. Here, it's this guy Ortiz. His team is banged up. You have this Hametry who got hurt in training. They think almost broke his back. And then this guy Clayton, whatever his name is, the guy with the green hair, he's out with a broken hand. And now, this is the biggest injury of all. You have Nick Ring, who's probably their top fighter, who they say coming up in the next episode is injured too. So injuries are really starting to plague this team, and it's going to have an effect. So it's kind of interesting how you have a team of fighters that are getting injured, and who's going to be the replacements, because it seems that Liddell is still up 4-2, and his fighters also have injuries, but you know, they're up in the game. They're leading 4-2, and they have less injuries, so that's important. You have a team that's healthy. It can get you very far, because look at other sports. It's the healthy teams that usually do very well later in the game when the playoff time comes. And in the way, this is like playoffs, because you have a wild card. So it's kind of interesting how this whole thing is turning out. Episode 6 was exciting. Looking forward to episode 7. I would like to know what you guys thought about the fight, in the show and the show itself. Please leave your comments. Please rate this video and subscribe. And thank you for tuning in.